The U.S. House of Representatives, each congressman has a district office where they work out of the year, but then they also have between 1 or 3 district offices where they'll come back, they'll talk to some of their constituents, and they'll have constituent personnel that deal with those sort of cases with the federal government. So over the summer, I got the chance to intern with my congressman, Congressman Jim Jordan in the 4th House District. I got to work at his Lima district office. People would come to us with those federal departments like Social Security, Medicaid, or Medicare, and workers' comp. They would call our office, and then we would be kind of the intermediate between them and the federal agencies. And so I was kind of the front desk person, so I would kind of answer calls, help people that came through the door. I helped with some of the constituent cases, just summarizing some of the past cases. It was actually the first thing I would do every morning is we had a list of different area newspapers. I would read through some of those stories, pinpoint some of the ones that were either about Congressman Jordan or about the federal government or the U.S. House, and give a quick little summary of each of those stories and then send them off to my boss, who then she would forward those on to the D.C. office. And the goal of that was just when constituents call either our office or one of the other district offices or the D.C. office, we kind of know what they're referring to, if they're referring to a local story or if they're referring to a national story that they might have heard. It's the main goal of it was just so that we could speak intelligently and know what they're kind of referring to. And just the goal of it was just to improve our relationship with our constituents. We would also reach out to local schools in the area and just kind of plug them in with some of the federal programs that the government offers. There was the Congressional art competition. We would connect with a lot of art teachers in the region and connect them with that information so that they can then forward that on to the students. We had just a list of principals and vice principals just that we could reach out to if we ever wanted to visit those schools. And then we also had guidance counselors, a list of all the guidance counselors from schools that we could connect with military academy information. But then I would say beyond just the basic, the time and money saved with my undergraduate degree, I feel like I got a lot out of the experience just building communication skills with just talking to constituents in our region. It's similar to what we do in the history major, just trying to find sources, go through those source databases. And then it also just got me a lot of connections too, with not only with Congressman Jordan's office, but also with a lot of people in the U.S. House and some local officials that office plugged me into. And so I'm really appreciative of this internship over the summer. I feel like I got a lot out of it. But then they also connected me with some people in D.C. too, and I feel like it was that connection with them that now I have that kind of foot in the door that if I wanted to go get an internship in D.C. or intern at the U.S. or the Ohio House of Reps or the Ohio Senate, that the people in that office I'm really appreciative of them helping me just to connect with those people. I'd say it was really interesting over the summer just hearing the different constituent cases that we deal with, or that those district offices deal with on a daily basis. It just kind of shows you like these little local issues that you might not think about, but it's daily stuff like that affects people on such a big level that these district offices, this is how we handle it. There were a lot of cases too with Social Security payments and Medicare, and again, it's like you hear these guys call and you say, hey, I can't, I'm having a problem reaching out to Social Security or Medicaid. But it kind of puts it in perspective that this is their livelihood for a lot of people. And so I was really, looking back, I'm really appreciative of the fact I got to help those people kind of get their livelihood and get their health care if it's Medicare, and just make a positive impact on their lives. And that's what district offices do. There were a handful of different projects where I did research with the office. And the history major really prepared me for that, just kind of showing me how to handle databases with information and showing me how I could, it's it's a skill in itself just knowing how to research. And I feel like the history major really taught me that before I even stepped foot in the door of the district office. But then also I would say the writing skills that comes with history. A lot of people don't or recognize it as much with the history major as what they would with English or communications, but just being able to write well is so important today in any job, whatever you do. And I wasn't writing research papers or 10-page summaries or anything, but I was writing just very short, concise summaries of the information that those district staff asked me to go after. And I would say the history major really helped me just to write well and write concisely and pick my words pick the right words and use them in the right way that I could get that message across. I would say the history major prepares you to be able to pick sources that are accurate and sources that are reliable, and use a mix of primary and secondary sources and be able to access databases and discern which sources are right and which are wrong. And I think AI still has a long way to go with that. Besides, just going off of what's the first thing that pops up on Google? That's what AI draws on. And it's a lot of history people or history majors will go, well, no, you can't just rely on Wikipedia and those kind of sources online. You got to go through trusted academic Google Scholar sources. And I think that's one thing that the history major does. Right now, my number one goal is I'm going to law school after this year. I'm graduating in May of 26. I would say the internship first just kind of exposed me to the legal system and made me think about law in a different way, that there's the interaction between state and federal laws. A lot of, it's not really recognized in everyday life. I would say I didn't really understand it before I did this internship. I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do once I graduate law school. My plan is either to become a prosecutor or maybe work in a federal office or a state office as on their legal team. And again, I would say with any experience, if you can do an experience like an internship, take that experience, get that knowledge, and kind of build your communication skills. Because wherever you go, that's going to be the number one very important, if not most important thing. I would say for any history student considering internships, if you're on the fence about doing one, do it. If you're on the fence about, should I do this one or that one, just find one and do it. Because it is so useful for any student to get that real world experience. And for me especially, I would say I started doing an internship in December of 24 was I did an internship with the Ohio House. And that completely changed my perspective on what I could do. It exposes you to a whole nother field, like career field. Like I didn't really recognize that there's lawyers who work in the State House and work behind the scenes that kind of make these bills happen. It exposes you to a lot of careers and it kind of builds your knowledge. And the second thing about internships is once you get one, it's so easy to get another. I feel strongly that as you build more experience, it makes you so much more marketable as a employee or if you go to graduate school or if you go, for me, to law school. I feel a lot more confident that I can go where I want and do the things that I want to do, and I'm highly valued as a potential employee because I have this experience. And so I'm really grateful for the people I worked for and for the history department and even John Glenn College for letting me get credit for my internships and kind of exposing me to this world of working while you're a student.